Lucky number 13 for Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, 37-31. They get it done. They had dominated the early stretches of the game. Of course, we'll have the full highlights for you coming up. We'll hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Bill Belichick, and Tom Brady. The Super Bowl is set. First blush thoughts from our experts, Lou Riddick, Ryan Clark, Michael and Zubin will be with you throughout the night. We'll go to ESPN News for all the press conferences as well. Prime time with Boomer and TJ kicking it old school on ESPN in just a bit. We are set. Take us through your thoughts on the Pats winning and your first blush on Super Bowl 50.
The big thing about the Pats winning to me is this was, Tom talked about them sucking and us not thinking they had a chance to win. The reason was because if you looked on paper and looked at these depth charts, the Kansas City Chiefs were more talented. They had more talent on the outside. They had more talented people that could make plays. This was about Bill Belichick taking away what you do great and Tom Brady finding ways to pick apart a defense that he knows exactly where you're lining up and what you're going to do. They threw no wrinkles at Tom Brady. They didn't do anything to confuse him. They also didn't move him off his spot. And when you're playing against a guy who's been in this game so many times and been in all of these big moments, you have to do something different. You have to reach into your bag and say, we're not going to just rely on talent to beat this team that we know has so much more intestinal fortitude, experience in these type of positions. And so now you find yourself on the outside looking in.
Let me ask you this, because you were harping on this a moment, and then Ryan just said the same thing. If Tom Brady's looking up there, if you guys can tell it here what the Chiefs are running, then clearly Tom Brady can.
Sure.
So is it just a lack in scheme, or the personnel they have over there, they don't feel as if they can make those type of wrinkles and adjustment and be effective? Because if it's that elementary to you guys, clearly it's a Tom Brady.
I think it's two things. One, they know that they're deficient in the secondary in particular in Kansas City. So they know they have some work to do. So if you're deficient, do you let your guys just go one-on-one against their two horses in crunch time? There is no reason in the NFL that you should allow a quarterback to go 13 of 19 on third down. 13 of 19 and 4 for 5 in the red area as a football team without making it tougher than what they made it. They didn't give them any resistance in those critical. Bill prides himself on two things in particular as far as winning football games. One, played great situational football, right? We wear that phrase out.
Yes.
Situational was third down and red area. They crushed Kansas City in that area. And what else does he count on? He counts on this. He used to always say he wants people who are mentally tough and who are smart, who will stick to it over 3.5, 4 hours. And eventually the other team will do something dumb. They just will. And he hates that. He will take a lesser player for a guy who will stick to it. Now, what happened at the end of this game? The game should have been over for the Chiefs. D Ford lines up offside. Bill will cut people who do that. You do that, you won't play for him, and you may be a guy who runs a 5.5 40 instead of a 4.5 like D Ford does.
Yes.
But if you commit those kinds of mistakes, that's what keeps you out of Super Bowls. That's what right now is going to send the Chiefs in their locker room going, we had the game. Because they did. Yes. Michael, it's over right there.
Ball game.
It's over
Ball game,
simply because a guy had his head 6 inches too far over the ball, and now it's totally different. And that's how Bill wins.
And it's such an easy call.
Exactly.
First off, it's an easy fix, right? That's the first thing you do. If you ever go to a football practice, NFL football practice, when it goes to individuals, the D lineman will do get-offs. And in get-offs, they make sure they're lined up behind the ball. They'll have a coach snapping the ball. He'll give them some type of dummy count, and then he'll move the ball. It's the first thing they do. It's the first part of understanding how to play the position. And you can't have that mistake happen. And time after time after time, we've seen other teams do it, and not the New England Patriots. And that's exactly what we saw tonight.
Now, we're simplifying it down to one play.
Yes.
And, of course, you can't do that, just like you can't do it in the Saints-Rams games. But it still matters. It matters when you beat yourself mentally like that. You cannot in the NFL, and he won't put up with it in New England. And I'm not saying Andy puts up with it. I'm just saying that is a gutting, soul-destroying loss right there when you think about it.
There's an old saying in NASCAR, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Right. Trying to get as close to the edge as possible without going over. And it seems as if D was trying to get as close to the line to try to get a jump, to get pressure on.
But what do they tell you? They tell you, look down the line at the ball, put your hand down, look at the ball, and put your head behind your hand. That way you're not also – your hand, let that be your guide.
Yeah. Plus the officials right there, too. Like, you can check
and you're watching this game, and when the game starts, you're seeing the New England Patriots really invert the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. They were more physical than the Kansas City Chiefs were. And, you know, throughout the season, we've said different things about the Patriots because they've made mistakes. We've seen Tom Brady do uncharacteristic things in the red zone. And so you start to think, okay, there's some cracks in what they're doing. But as the season got on, you saw the last week of the season against the AFC East teams kind of shore some things up. And then you get an opportunity to come into the playoffs. You have a home game which you dominate, and then you go on the road and beat. I mean, listen, we talked about Patrick Mahomes earlier. I don't think we give him enough credit. We see some of the things he's done, and we start to get kind of numb to it, right? We start to think it's simple for Patrick Mahomes to do it. He made some throws today that kept this team in the game when they should have been blown out.
Yep.
And so the Patriots were just that darn good last week and this week to go on the road in what I thought, I'll be honest, was Kansas City and Andy Reid's year.
You know what's funny about Tom is, like, you compare Tom to Patrick, and all year long people were saying, well, Tom can't throw the deep ball anymore. He's, you know, second bottom level quarterback, mid-tier quarterback. You know, Tom, I'm sitting here trying to think of an analogy. Tom's like Neo in the Matrix, where everyone else is moving real fast, and Tom's just like, yeah, okay, yeah, block and stuff. Because that's how he operates now. He doesn't need to operate with pure, just raw power. To him, which, as you saw right there in those drives, you just kind of knew, like, he's about to do that Tom Brady stuff again.
Right. That was the feeling everybody had.
It's just like this. It's like cut. I got you. Cut. And especially if you give him the answers, as Ryan is talking about, give him the answers to the test, and he just has to fill it in.
Yes, it's over.
It's
death by paper.
I mean, good for them, though, because you know what? Bill has feasted off of other people's mistakes for years. That's why he's gone to 15,000 Super Bowls and has won 1 million championships.
Right.
And he just sits over there with that look on his face like, I got you right where I want you because I know you're going to do something that I'm going to capitalize on, and they do it every time.
You know Bill well. You said you know him going back to the 90s. If you were to stack up all of their Super Bowl appearances, considering what happened this year, 11-5, 5 load losses, blown out by the Jaguars, the Lions, the Titans.
The Miami Miracle.
The Miami Miracle, which cost them home field in this particular game. Great call. Where does this one stack up with all the adversity and Tom essentially telling the world that I know nobody thinks we can win? Where does this one stack up?
I think it's probably one of his best coaching jobs because of going all the way back to the offseason. Tom's not there. It's a little bit different, you know, atmosphere around there. He shows up at training camp. People are going, oh, Bill and Tom are feuding. Tom, you know, the owner has Tom's back, and Bill's kind of like maybe on his way out. Then they have some difficulties. Then they can't win on the road. Then they win on a fluke play they lose on a fluke play in Miami. People are saying Tom's a bottom-level quarterback or a mid-tier quarterback. He can't throw the football far. They don't have any speed on the outside. Josh Gordon, you know, gets in trouble. And it's all that's it because they can't throw. They can't run down the field. And you know what? They get in there, and what happens is, and you know what? You have to give Josh McDaniels some credit, too, because I'll tell you this. That guy is a play caller. You can talk about Sean McVay. He's great. Matt Nagy's great. Andy Reid is great. Josh McDaniels knows how to kill you with death by 1,000 cuts better than anybody. And he showed it. Right. Rex Burkhead, James White, Sony Michel. They just and there's people going, I don't want Rex Burkhead. You know, James White's nice, but he's not really that good. You know, okay. They take those guys, Deion Lewis before that, and they just cut you apart.
I think it shows again, though, even, you know, he's speaking about Josh McDaniels, but just in the New England Patriots as a whole, they just do what it takes to win. Whether it's the pretty thing, whether it's the thing we like to see.
Why can't everybody do it?
Because everybody doesn't have the patience.
You know what? That is the key. It's the wherewithal to stick with it and stick with. Because you know what happens? I think it was Matt Hasselbeck was saying this earlier today. Somebody said this. Why, when something is working, won't coaches keep calling the same thing? Because they go, well, I called it once, I can't call it again. Because I have this whole nice little play sheet, and I got to hit them all.
I did this all week.
I got to show everybody. I'm going to get my money's worth. That's right. I'm going to get my money's worth out of this play sheet.
Boy say, yes, sir.
You got 15 cars in the garage. You
yes.
all
of them.
Instead of the one that's faster than everybody's.
Yes.
And prettier than everybody's. Exactly. Great analogy.